Hi, everyone. It's interesting to see how God works and God's timing when it comes to a bunch of the topics that we've addressed in this class, specifically with this assignment on reconciliation and friendship. As I mentioned in my other video, it was a busy week for me. I was up in Prescott with a group of pastors, and these pastors are good friends that I've known for a while, that I've done ministry with. And there was one pastor in particular that I used to be extremely close to when my family lived in Dallas and we were part of a church plant. He was also on the north side of Dallas, and he was kind of like a mentor figure in my life. He was a coach. He was a voice of wisdom. He and his wife were just very life-giving to my family. And as I've shared how Dallas was just a really painful, challenging season for my family and ministry, we eventually ended up coming back to Phoenix after we decided to leave. It was just super painful. It was one of those relationships that just wasn't going to be the same after we left. And a big reason that relationship didn't become a negative relationship. It just became a relationship that was fragmented. Um, I just felt like this person was super disappointed with me, and so I'd really kind of pulled away from him, almost as like a coping device, just to disengage from that relationship because I felt like I disappointed him. And he was out here this week, and we had been in touch over the last few years with this group of pastors that we're in, but we're never quite the same, just from a level of trust and sharing and that kind of thing. And so to spend this week with him was great. And we actually had breakfast this morning, Friday morning, that we had planned like 2 months ago. And so it's funny how this class this week was on friendship and reconciliation. And I knew like 2 months ago, like that breakfast, there were probably some things that needed to be just shared on my part and to hear from him. And that happened this morning as I was able to just kind of open up and talk about how I had, pulled away because that was such a confusing, challenging time in our life, and I felt like he was just really disappointed. And then just to hear from him how he wasn't disappointed, he was just sad. Sad that we were leaving. His family had come to just adore us and love on us, and so they were sad that we were leaving Dallas. And he told me, like whatever happens in ministry, he doesn't value people by what they can produce in a church. He values them just because they're people and they're loved by God. They're created in the image of God. And so to hear that was just really refreshing to me. And I think we so often just believe the lies that the devil tells us about people. And I think I was in a vulnerable spot where I was hurting and really confused. And I for the last few years have just believed that this guy was super disappointed, and that's been harmful to the relationship because of how I pulled away. So just a great breakfast this morning, and really great to spend time with this guy, and looking forward to having him as a voice of wisdom in my life again. And it's just interesting how that conversation that was planned 2 months ago ended up falling on this week of friendship and reconciliation. So I'm glad for it. Glad that that appointment was made. It just felt like kind of a God thing, and glad that I get to share that story. But yeah, just a super challenging assignment to think about doing this. And I know that was a relationship I probably needed to reach out and kind of have some reconciliation with. And I don't know if I would have been able to just make a cold call. So kind of feel like God bailed me out on that. But it was a much needed conversation today at breakfast with a dear friend. And it feels like there's been some reconciliation there. So thanks for listening. And it's been just a good week. This has been a very enjoyable topic.